ask. Okay, that is the only way for getting the information you would like to have. So I can do some questions, but they are my questions, or I try to put myself in your shoes, but I'm not sure I'd be able to do that in the proper way. So if you want to ask things, you can do, raise your hand and ask. Okay, we have here people with different backgrounds and with different experiences. They had in the past and they are doing now. They raise money, they create companies, and so on. We are going to interact with them in order to have advices to understand what they did in the past, when they failed, and what are the suggestions they can provide us. So we have Sabina, Guido, Davide, and Emmanuele. First of all, my question is, what is your background and what you are doing now in 1 minute? Starting from Sabina.
Yeah, thanks. Well, my background is actually in communications and something called strategic entrepreneurship. That sounds very, very, very good in papers, but yeah, like you all know, once you graduate, then you really need to get sort of your hands on the table. After graduating, I've been working with exports, the Danish Trade Council in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Then I've been working in Bolivia as well in South America to build up educational aid systems in the hospitals. Then I've been working in something called Robotics, a cluster academy, to really look deeper into entrepreneurial ecosystems, trying to understand that. From there, I did my own venture, also in the educational domain. Now I'm working in a company called Blue Ocean Robotics, where I'm not one of the founders, unlike the others here. I'm not one of the founders, but I've been in the company ever since we started it. And I'm working very much with the business part of it. So really trying to get sales going, to build go-to-market strategies, doing them, and so on. So I'm in the management team as well.
Okay. Thank you. From Denmark. Guido.
Hello, I'm Guido Meak, and my background is business and economics, mainly economics. So I did my bachelor at Torino. I did my 4th year in Boston. Instead of taking my Erasmus, I went to the United States. And after that, I did my master's in London at the London School of Economics. That was super boring economics. Any economists around? Yeah, pretty cool. Huh? And then I decided it was like too much far away from real life. So I went skiing for 2 years. And that's it. I raced with the national team. The Italian national team was hoping to go to Nagano. I didn't go. I wasn't good enough. And after that, I won a scholarship. I went to Stanford, doing some more economics. In theory, in practice, it was 1999. And there was a lot of excitement around internet companies. That was before the bubble burst. And so I set up I came back and I set up my first company in 1999. We had to close it in May 2000 after the bubble burst. In fact, I set up my second company in 2000. That was an e-commerce enabler company. I ran it until 2012. We grew it from scratch with no funding into a 10 million euro sales company and 50 people based in Torino a little bit and a lot in Dublin and a little bit in Shanghai, China. And I just got bored with it in 2012 for several reasons. And I set up my third company now in Silicon Valley last year in June 2014. And it's a software company, again, e-commerce. And right now I raised some money and I'm ready to launch. We're going to launch in 10 days. That's it, I guess.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, hi, Davide Morelli. I started as a musician, saxophonist. And then because there's too much money to make in music, I decided to do the computer science instead. So I came here to study. I'm still studying here. I'm a PhD student. And I started a company in Italy like 10 years of struggle. Then finally, very hard. And back then I didn't have any any entrepreneurship culture. And actually, thanks to the first edition of this class course, I decided to start working on another company with a friend in London, and went well. The idea was to use physiological signals and to drive generative music, which means music that is created in real time around each one of the users. The music adapts to the user. So, for example, measuring the heart rate using the camera. Or the very first idea was to use EEG to capture, brain waves and change the music accordingly. Now we are looking at accelerometer data and adapting the music around how much and how low can run. And, well, it's going pretty well. It's 2 years already. And again, yeah, like you, we are almost ready to launch. We should launch in 10 days, but
Okay, thank you, Davide. Emmanuele?
Hi everyone, my name is Emmanuele Angione, and I graduated in communication sciences in 2002 from the University of Macerata. I then went to Trieste to study business administration, and I worked for the very first years of my career in the e-commerce sector, first in France and then I moved to Ireland. Then in 2009, I received a phone call from one of my high school friends who told me that they were thinking to create a high-tech startup. And I was, back then working for a big company, and I was basically getting all the benefits you can get and really interesting paycheck and all of that. But I was thinking that I was still an employee and I wanted to have something more. I wanted to feel more like an entrepreneur. So one of the reasons why then we decided to create this company, which is based in Pisa, was because everyone was telling us that in Italy it's impossible to do anything. So I decided to take that challenge on board. I moved to Pisa from Dublin, and in 2010 we started this company, which is called WINMedical, which is developing and selling a patented modular device for measuring most important vital signs. And you know what? Because I'm a salesperson, I always try to sell it wherever I go. So I brought the product, which is, I call it my second baby because I have a baby. This one is the second one, right? And we are based in Navacchio. We have 18 people working for us. We have 30 systems installed in 30 Italian hospitals, and now we are ready to launch our products into international markets.
Okay, thank you very much. I started from video game. I have a question about your background. You started in a company at the beginning, and you got the idea coming from that, or no?
Yes. So I actually we started in '99. I was directly from my studies, and then we closed it. The first one, Bitcash, that was a payment system competing with PayPal and Interim, and so that was directly from my studies. Then we set up the second one, and in that period, I need to earn a living, so I went working. Also, I had my parents saying, you know what, you better earn some money and get out of here. I mean, yeah, you can stay, but it's better if you work for your own sake. So I got a job in Ernst & Young, which is a consulting company you may know about, and I was specifically in corporate finance. So that's the division where you learn. Well, our business was basically designing business plans for other companies and understanding how to issue new shares and get some funding, which became very useful later on. After that, the companies were not making, well, the only company left wasn't making enough money. So I went out to Benetton, and specifically to Treviso. I worked into the consumer goods. That was in Ditta di Dora, producing shoes and garments. And there I was doing two things. I was assistant to the chairman for M&A because of my previous finance experience. And I was also head of internet because the consumer internet, because they didn't have anybody to take care of all the money they had invested into previous years into like fancy portals about sports, about traveling, that were spending a lot of money and not making any. And so I was running these two things. At that point, I had also the responsibility of running their e-commerce. And since my company was an e-commerce company, I basically agreed with the ownership that my company was supply services to the group, right? So this was really the beginning of some money for my company, because the main invoices and main payments were coming from the group where I was working for, which was kind of interesting because I was on the buy side, and not only, and I wasn't really on the sell side, so I could really understand very well what the market wanted, which is a problem you have a lot at the beginning when you're launching something new. Maybe you're there now. How many entrepreneurs among you? Any entrepreneurs? Raise your hands. You're shy. Yeah, right. Okay, so if you know that if I don't know if you experienced this, but if you're doing something new that doesn't exist, and you really have which is something I've done a lot, well, at least twice. You really have the problem of how the market will understand, how you explain this to the market, how you sell it, how you price it, and what is your model. And in that occasion, being on the other side, you know, I could just raise the phone, talking to my business partner, saying, it was two of us, hey, we need this, and we need it this way. And he would say, no, we're going to produce it this other way. No, you don't get it. I mean, we need this, trust me. Use it, hire the people to do this, and this company is going to buy it, and other companies are going to buy it too. Right? So that came super handy for money first, well, maybe product first and money second.
I'll be back because you distinguish invoices and getting money, but yeah, it's another question. Sabina, what about putting stuff invented in another place into the market? How are you doing that in Denmark, in particular in Blue Ocean Robotics?
So the Blue Ocean Robotics, basically what we do is instead of developing a lot of new robotic technologies, because there are already a lot of new early stage robotic technologies, we're trying to adapt it and commercialize it into obviously Scandinavian markets, but also other markets, especially in the educational, healthcare domain, and in the industry. So coming back to your question, for instance, let's say, so for the time being, I'm the self-responsible, for instance, of education. But we have educational robotics technologies from the States, from Japan, from whatnot. It's not, I mean, we cannot just take that and then go to a 6th grade and then say to the teachers that, okay, so on Monday, then you're gonna teach with these tools. I mean, it will never work. So basically what we're doing here is really to taking the technologies, looking into, okay, what are in Denmark, for instance, how do you actually develop the teaching materials, the didactical approaches, everything that needs to be around in order to actually work, is to create value for the users, in this case the teachers and the children. And the same thing goes with hospitals or in the industry. I mean, it's really to look at it from the user's point of view, the market again, and then taking the technologies that we have and saying, okay, so how should we go about this? What kind of training do we need to give the personnel and so on? So all the time we can use the market and take it.
Yeah, thank you. Emmanuele, did you find your company already ready for the market? I mean, the idea was already.
So I found myself in a 6 square meters office, you know, coming from a bigger office in Dublin, and we had, you know, all the other guys discussing the way we were going to basically approach the market, where we were going to develop the product, where we were going to get, you know, our customers, and the way we were basically going to position our product within specific market segment. And so basically, no one of us had experience in this industry. We were completely, I would say, unexperienced in understanding all different dynamics of the market and the complexity of the market itself. So what we did was like, we needed to find out, instead of, when you are an entrepreneur and you're not someone working for a big company, spending the time in the office, you just leave the office, you go where your potential customers are, and you go there and you ask them questions and you try to better understand which are their needs and if they are willing to pay for your solution or not, and how much they are willing to pay for it. And then absolutely depends by the industry, depends by the country you are in and the market segment. So from that point of view, you learn to become an entrepreneur, and you live day by day, learning every single day, completely new things, and you make a lot of mistakes. So the first thing is you don't need to be afraid to make mistakes, because to become an entrepreneur, you have to make mistakes, you have to learn from them, and you need to go through this process.
Okay. Davide, I know that you maybe cannot disclose all the things you are running now, but the same question about the market, how to transform the best idea you got into something that can add value for the market.
Well, in our case, we don't have a product, a revenue stream, so we're still exploring, actually. And well, our take, following what I didn't have any experience, and I had to follow my co-founder. He's from Silicon Valley, so we know how to do things like that. And he wanted me and David, my English co-founder, to experiment, to try things in the wild. So instead of trying to come up with a perfect product and spend a couple of years and then finally launching the product, he wanted us to just build prototypes, show prototypes, festivals, and conferences, and actually put the app in the store and see what happens. And get data, analyze the data, analyze the behavior of the users, understand where the problem is, and then iterate. So I think, especially in my field, it's mainly apps. It's very important to try things and to iterate quickly, to have the mindset to try things and not be jealous of the ideas, and just put the ideas out there and be quick. Be very quick in understanding what's wrong and what's right, and focus on what's right, and removing everything that is not necessary. The app needs to be very focused, very simple to get. In my case, it's iteration.
Yeah, iteration finding the real market.
Yeah,
or one of the possible markets.
As Guido said, you don't know. I mean, when you try new things, you just don't know. Is it a product in the first place? Who's going to buy it? How much? What's the value of this thing? Does it have any value in the first place? So you don't know. You can try it and see if users like it, try to understand the value for the users, and then finally, maybe. So we're getting here. Said I cannot disclose actually because we are about to launch, so sensible to say today, but yeah, it took like a year of iteration. So that's the way I think companies like mine were looking apps.
Okay, great. So different experiences and different approaches. Last boring question about the structure, about people involved during the maybe last 10 years span. So how many people are now, how many founders, something like that. So company, the structure, and the evolution.
Yeah. Okay, so if you take the last one, Blue Ocean Robotics, it has 3 founders. 3 founders. It was founded in 2013, so that's 2 years ago. We started out with a lot of, when a company starts out, you need to have like money for salaries and so on. So basically, we were very, very cheap to sell, so to speak. When we started out, we were involved in a lot of EU projects and a lot of projects, just really to get some capital to get you going. That also meant that that when we started out, we had a lot of people coming in very quickly. I think we started out with 5, like the 3 founders, and then 2, 3 others, me including. And in 6 months, I think we were more than 20 people all of a sudden. doing a lot of projects and so on, but not really focusing on sales, because we were involved in so many public projects all of a sudden that we didn't really have to focus on anything else. So around last year in spring, we really hit like now we need to focus on sales again, on the proper business and so on, because we were going around doing a lot of other things that weren't really important. And in the startup, it is really all about, like you also said, it is really all about sales and production, and we produce yourself as well. So last spring, then we fired but some people again, and now we are like around the structure and so on. We're getting back into the game, like really focusing on sales, the projects. If you're involved in European projects and national or funded project, it has to be around something that can create business for us as well. So employment, design of products and whatnot. So now we really have a much more solid structure to go on and actually do the business. And so we're starting again, and then hopefully we can keep the pace now. But I mean, it's business, and it's early stage solutions that we're working with. Again, like all the solutions that we're working with are actually things that we don't know if they can go above water or not. So it's that's part of the game.
Okay, thank you. You had experience with regional and international projects. What is your feeling about?
So when I arrived the first time here, I realized that there are a lot of small companies using regional funds and EU funds to basically fund their activities. But the thing is that after 2, 3, 5, 7 years, they are still using the funds and to produce papers that no one is reading and prototypes that no one is using. So what we decided to do was to use these funds to basically fund all our R&D activities and develop our products. And it's quite an interesting thing to do, because either you put your own money or you raise money from investors, or you use those funds. But you need to use those funds to do something that is basically creating value for your company. And that's the way we did it. And then we are using the money coming from selling our products as a working capital to basically pay for our salaries. Because we were talking this morning. My philosophy when working in a startup is, if you have people in the startup, either they are producing something or they are selling something. Otherwise, there's no reason to be there. Otherwise, you work for a big corporation, you write yourself and you play the politics game into that. And the second thing I would try to add is, we were talking this morning. So once you decide to do something like this, you really need to be clear on how you're going to grow the company. And once you decide the people are going to work with you, regardless of the fact they are founders or shareholders, you always need to be really clear when it comes to roles and responsibilities.
Okay, that's great. That's a great point. I would like to come back in a few minutes. Davide, why didn't you choose the European project? I mean, you are doing your PhD here, and many people, probably many professors, advise you about doing the project with them, and you decided different pathway.
I don't really have a strong answer to this. I don't know, it just happened. Right now, actually, we are using for going after European projects as a company, not only as researchers. Because both me and my co-founder, we both are researchers. Well, I don't know. We just found it easier to. We just wanted to, try things directly. Just do the product and see how it went. Then, in the Silicon Valley, it's not very usual to use money from. It's very actually they don't really like. At least the investors I spoke to, they wouldn't really like the idea of but now the perception is changing. Actually, they're very open to things. It's just in America, they're very jealous of the IP, so they really care about the property, intellectual property. So and with European projects, it's not always so easy to understand who's going to own what. Just happened.
And how did you raise funds?
Okay, very first bit of money that made us go for 6 months. It was one of the founders, so the American founder with the first cash. And then after 6 months, we made a small seed loan. And then after
Something like
600, yeah, it was 600,000.
small.
That's a bit. And then after a couple of years, we just closed another, I cannot disclose the figures, but we just closed another round. Nothing, it's not Series A yet. Nothing big, but another round was going to the end of the year. And, but the first round was more interesting. This round is more formal than the usual venture capitalist. The first one was more interesting because we wanted to have only celebrities as investors, because we wanted to use them not only for the money, but for the the PR that they could leverage, like we have people like Will Smith, for example. So the moment we have a product ready to ship, maybe he could tweet about it, and we get instantly in 5 minutes of the users. So that was the strategy. In general, if you have a good idea, it shouldn't be too hard. And in my experience, it's not really too hard to find the money. As an Italian, I used to think, the money is impossible to find. It's not true. If you really try it, it's not that hard. But you should not take money just for the money. You should take an investor because it has strategic potential, not just for the money itself. Because you're gonna somehow marry this guy, so you need to like him, and you need to needs to have a purpose, not just money.
Guido, do you agree?
Yes, I agree totally. So technically, the instruments which are used today to raise money are convertible notes. Convertible notes is what in Italy we call bond convertibile, right? It's the same, and which technically gives no voice and no power to the investor. In practice, what happens is that you, as an entrepreneur, you feel responsible towards these guys, right? And so it's right that you're kind of marrying them, especially the first few of them. So the good thing to do, and I think what I've done at least, is to pick the first investors with great attention. Because in my experience, I actually, out of 2 companies, the first company, as I said earlier, was not funded. So we funded the company with the client's money. And that's another way to go, right? If you're lucky, if you're lucky enough, okay? But it's the best way. But then you find you start very young. You find yourself after a few years that you grew a decent sized company, and it's still the first maybe 2 founders, and you start having control issues and decision issues, and life goes like in different directions. One gets to wife, the other one doesn't. One wants to go abroad, the other one doesn't. One wants to sell, the other one doesn't. So having professional investors, helps a lot in taking a lot of drama out of the decision. So one of my suggestions is you need a co-founder or a couple of co-founders, but it's better not to go a long way without somebody older, somebody wiser, or somebody professional. But what's this? As I said, the second company, I wanted to raise funds, and I wanted to build this company in Silicon Valley because I just felt it was better to be there, because I wanted to raise World Cup, and that's where the champions are, and I wanted to be there, try to be with them at least, and see if I was good enough. And I landed in Silicon Valley, which is a place that as I said, I went to Stanford, so I know the place very well. I have a lot of contacts. But when I came out with my idea and my paperwork, basically people that told me, yeah, I mean, you're nice, you're exotic, you've done a company, but if you're so cool, why is it that nobody put any money into your company yet? Why should I be the first? and nobody wants to be the first. I mean, would you like to be the first? I mean, I have a great idea. I have no cash. I'm a 40-year-old entrepreneur, and none of my friends put any money in it. Would you fund me? Would you put money in it? You wouldn't, right? So easy. So I was blocked there, and what I decided is, okay, since these guys here tell me why none of your friends put any money into your company, I flew back to Italy and I actually asked my friends, and my friends which know me and for thanks goodness trust me, actually wanted to invest in my company. So the problem was the opposite. It was me not wanting them, because I mean, if you're my friend, I don't really want to screw up your money, right? It's so I was in a situation where I needed money to get real funds there. I didn't want to get my friends' money, and so I selected a very small number of very smart friends, which I'm lucky to have. And some of them are also rich because they worked a lot and they have a lot of money. So I went there and I said, okay, you know what? I need money, and I think, okay, you said you want to invest in my company, but I tell you, you're gonna lose all of it. Okay? There's no hope. It's almost certainly. So give me an amount of money which you're like easy with yourself at losing like completely. And I ended up putting some numbers, $100,000 from 5 friends, so 20 each. But I didn't collect the whole money right away because I was scared of like wasting it. So I collected 50% of it. I flew back to the United States, and then I started again, saying, hey, you know what? We have 5 investors. These are their bios. They're super cool guys. By the way, they're not friends at all. They're professionals. Just trusted in the idea, etc. No, it's not true. I told everybody they were friends, but the situation changed completely, right? So then people would actually really say, "Ah, wow, interesting. I mean, this guy has some traction with investors." So after all, when you're fundraising, you're selling yourself. There's not a big difference between selling the product of your company or selling your company to the market, or selling your company to investors. Okay, so investors look at you and think, this guy hasn't sold his shares of his company to other investors before me, so he doesn't know how to sell. If this guy doesn't know how to sell, the company will never sell anything, even though they produce the iPhone. I mean, if there's not a salesperson, he will not sell. The opposite is true when they see, wow, this guy was able to raise money, so he was able to sell himself and the company to somebody, so he's a good salesperson, so I can invest. So there's like this double thing of not being first and like chunking money in a rubbish bin, and also putting money in something that has sold already. So you have trust that it will sell again.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have any questions? I mean, yes, for sure, but maybe you don't want to interrupt this conversation. But why not? That is my question for you, not for the guys here. Go on.
Sì, certo.
Ok, vai. Anche in italiano e poi la...
Italiano?
Sì.
Ma
Poi
lo
la
posso dire
traduzione.
anche in inglese? Perché la signorina non è italiana.
Esatto. Capisce? Vai, vai.
So my name is Davide Morelli, and I am one woman manager of a digital project called ABCDI Monday.
No, your voice. Get some air. Can you raise your voice?
Okay, yes. So I find I make some decisions. Okay, so select and develop ideas, organize production, divide strategies, set objectives, measure results, allocate resources, promote and increase audience. But the most difficult thing is to find investors. What do you think about it? How to find investors in the market, on the market, or in the business?
Well,
No?
the first answer would be, well, who have you spoken to? Well, what have you tried? Where are you based?
And where?
Where are you? Very good question.
Where do you find investors?
Everywhere, but where are you based?
How much do you need?
I'll give you my business card.
Thank you.
Thanks. So,
Where do you live and where is your company based?
so I live in Tuscany, and my project as a senior manager is based in Tuscany. In my study, laboratory, creative study.
Can I have a lesson?
I'm a graduate in economic science.
Gualtiero, let me rephrase the question so that they can answer.
Okay.
So, can you each of you speak to the different categories of investors? So, Guido talked about, you mentioned the strategic investment you got from, because you had worked for a company and then they funded the first one. So the customers as investors, right? Davide, you can talk about sort of, Nadim was an investor, but he already had a business and a similar thing. So he wasn't just a financial investor. He was already in the industry. Your product complemented his. So he's not quite a customer. He's a customer. He could have been a customer, but he was actually he was smart enough to be an investor.
Yeah, it's one type of business angel.
Right, right. And then you can talk about the straight kind of financial investors, talent angels of growth, which are purely financial. They didn't actually know the industry. And then you can talk about your. But I rephrase the question. Just talk about the different types of sort of investors from each of your perspectives. That might answer the question.
So because we are based here and we had this kind of experience, because so the first money put into the company is money from the founders. Then you can go to ask family and friends. Then you can use something that we use here from the Chamber of Commerce, which is called prestito rotativo, sort of, let's call it sort of loan that you get from them, and you have to give it back after 3 years, a very, very interesting interest rate. Then you can use money by applying to EU-funded projects, so like Horizon 2020 as an instrument, 100% funded. Then you can go to private investors like business angels, and then of course you need to have something that you need to sell, get money to keep on growing the company. But basically what we did, because we started as a spin-off, and we were first in Pontedera, then we moved in a tech incubator, then we moved to Navaki, another tech incubator, and that's what we did, because we received money from Tuscany region in Formula grants to invest in our R&D activities. So there are so many investors. So when you're talking about investors, it's not just you think the business angels who is mostly in Milano, and you need to do the business plan, pitch the business plan, give them some equity and getting cash in exchange for the equity. There are different ways to raise capital. So I think when you were saying investors, you were more referring to ways to raise capital to fund your activities, or was investors like business angels or venture?
So I invest, and the project is self-financed, and I ask to my family, I ask to my friend, and I'm planning. I'm doing the business plan. It's just one question, because it's the most difficult thing to do in a project is to find investors, find money to invest in a project. And so I sell coffee. I sell coffee and I get money.
Actually, I think the most difficult thing to do is not to find the money, is to find
people that
to
invest
find the
money
customer,
in
to find the clients for your product. If you show to investors that you can make them rich, they will want to give you money. So the problem is not finding the money; it's having all the business plan ready to get investors involved. That's the difficult
Well,
Yeah.
if you wanna rephrase what you just said, mixing the two of you, the most difficult thing is selling.
The most
Right? Now, yeah,
Now.
that's what you said. But now you still want to sell your company because, as I said earlier, you want to sell yourself to your investors. So selling meaning finding the clients, understanding the price, try to understand what the clients are, and in this case, your clients are the investors you're looking at. Okay? You want to sell a share of yourself, a share of your company, and get people trusting you. So where are these investors? What type of investors are? Where are they hiding? Are they hiding? Or maybe you're not really meeting them because you're not really looking at the correct people. Maybe you don't have a correct offer. So need to meet somebody, and you need to show, as Davide was saying, investors that you can make them rich. So the first question that you hear at pitch competitions in Silicon Valley is how do you make money? What do you do and how do you make money? Okay, which is something you didn't say, right? So you said, I'm doing this and that, and I'm looking for investors. So like in 2 minutes, what you do and how do you make money? And are you already making money, or you think you can make money that way? How much money? How big is the market? It's interesting, and it's not interesting. Oh, it's very interesting. Okay, let's talk more.
If I can elaborate, yeah. I agree with you totally. The area that we're working in, we have these early stage robotic solutions. This actually, this buffer that we're talking about now is the valley of death. It's after the development and so on, so you don't have any more funding the development, and we're not yet at a stage either where we have a lot of investors who will invest a lot of money and so on, because the technology still hasn't proven that they can actually work. So we're just in that area every day. And we're doing exactly what you also say out here. It's actually pretty much the customers who pay from there on. So basically what you want to do is you really want to go through your solution, your product, whatever, saying, okay, what is the business case here? What is it who are my clients and how are they going to earn money on this? And if the business case for them is really interesting, then it's really, to our experience, and it's actually not a problem to having them on board as well financially. Because of course, if they can see that in 3 months' time they will actually earn more using your system or your product, or the region will, I don't know, whatever, then it's not hard to get them on board, as long as you sort of show them the value created for them.
Right?
Yeah, I want each one to comment on the notion that you actually don't find investors. Investors find you. Even if you technically found them, but in the end, they made, in their minds, they found you. Even so, not, I mean, it's a sales tactic, right? But they got the value, right? So speak a little bit to how you were able to get the people that you get back to get them to think that they made the best discovery, they made the best investment, right? They found you somehow.
That is the whole punchline that we're using actually. It's really about. I'll give you an example again from the schools, because those are the clients that I'm working mostly with. And even though all schools have no money and so on, it's not true. As long as you can show them the good business case and how they can actually save time on preparing the lessons and so on, then everything is okay. So what we've been doing there is really like trying to make them believe. It sounds I don't want to be quoted, but it sounds wrong, but it's not. But to make them believe that they are the guys in front of the development, that with their help, because of their expertise and because of their knowledge, specific knowledge on this domain, that they will actually be the ones who have been in front of the development. And then we make a lot of press releases and media coverage and so on that school, so that they can really say, hey, we are the ones who've been cooperating on making the curriculum material or whatnot for. We're a new robotics school, and they can really use that in the branding and attraction of new students as well. It's the same in healthcare, for instance. To the hospital or some of the doctors and so on, like making them believe that they are in front of the development, and that they are the ones who will actually be credited for helping all of their colleagues around the world. Then that's the way to get them ahead.
Can I just clarify something? In my 4 years in Italy and traveling, from the south to the north, and meeting up with young entrepreneurs or young, students or postdoc or PhDs who want to create their own startup or their own business, there was always this kind of slight misconception, which is, I have an idea, I write a business plan, I go to investors and I get money, right? So I've never had someone who raised money. Now, I don't know your experience, guys.
You're right.
So can I confirm this, slight Italian misconception, just, to make sure that there are a few, common places that I found, traveling all around Italy. So it doesn't work like this. So it's the four of us, we are confirming it today. So we are on record. So at least, after 4 years, I can say, I was right. So, and apart from that is, the other thing that I've noticed in Italy is this kind of idea of investors. Investors are not just, someone you have necessarily to count on at the very beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. You have to count on yourself, your idea, your determination, your passion, and your consistency. And you need to be ready to fail, because it is another thing that I've noticed in Italy, that we are scared to fail. We think that if we fail, we are losers and we don't have to try again. Don't be scared to try and fail, because it's a learning process that you're going to use for your next entrepreneurial ventures.
I could add something, because you are saying again what you said before. I mean, you said that in a company you can produce or sell, nothing in the middle. So doing the business plan is not
It's a production.
Well, not in that phase. In my opinion, it is very too close to school doing a business plan.
No,
that is my plan.
Yeah. But okay, let me clarify this. To me, is what Sabina was referring to. It's a business case. So in my case, let's say I don't have a product. I'm working with the engineers on a product, and they need to come up with a tech idea to basically transform requirements that I'm getting from the market by going to hospitals and reviewing the initial decision, asking them which are your needs, right? And then they are creating this business case that I'm bringing back to handle the requirements to create my product, and to create a business case where then I'm going to show the business plan how I'm going to make real my value proposition that could be to improve the quality of life of patients and reduce costs. And I have business cases that are in my business plan with real people who basically help me out in creating a case that I can go somewhere and sell, not necessarily to investors, but to other potential clients, and saying, I went to 10 talent hospitals, and the 10 most important physicians told me that, then if you're going to ask me, and did they buy it, maybe they'd say, there's something else, so look at your jacket again, use a different sales technique, but it's important, because when I'm saying that business plans, what I saw in Italy was that, guys, they were too focused on working on a business plan. We have a proper reality check and going out and talking to potential customers or to potential users or, to potential suppliers or even partners. So that's when I'm talking about that kind of business plan. You don't have to produce the business plan straight away. The business plan is a continuous process. And the business plan, even the business plan, they are investors. I go to them and sell the business plan, they give me the money. But be sure that that business plan during the next 2 to 3 to 5 years for sure is going to change. All the assumptions that you make, for sure some of them are going to change, and you need to be ready.
I want to say something about the money. This is true in Italy and in the U.S. Okay? I've done a lot of business planning competitions involved in allocating money or whatever. In 2011, first year that we did 80 plus, I think we had 6 teams that won various contests. I tracked those teams. Some of the teams that got the money never used it. Did you hear what I just said? They never used it. Okay? Same thing happened in New York City. And I'm not talking about tiny sums. I have cases of people winning $20,000, $25,000 to start their businesses and never use the summer money. I'll say it one more time. They never use the full time. All right? The point is that money is not the issue. Right? There's a lot of reasons why they didn't get off the ground. They didn't have a product, they couldn't find the customers, they had lifestyle issues, there's many reasons. Guido gave an example. He said he didn't ask his friends, then he asked his friends, then he only took half. Right? If I understood you. So he actually didn't take all the money either. Right? And there was a reason, right? Because he only took what he needed. And he wanted the type of investors. And once he could figure out how he was going to use the money, I'm sure eventually he took the rest of the money.
I got it all.
Was that?
Now I got it all.
Oh, now you got it all. You're right. They were probably even happy to give it to you.
Now they're calling me to put more.
What was that?
Now they're calling me to put more.
Oh, they're begging you to put more.
No, they're not begging me. You know, they call me and say, no, you know, I'm risking enough of your money and looking somewhere else now.
Right.
Now.
So I mean, I want to just emphasize that money is not the issue. I know, and he's in the Valley. I'm in New York. I spent a lot of time in the Valley. I spent time in Italy. I spent a week meeting with investors in Milan. The money is there. They are waiting. They are looking for things that will make them money. They're ready to invest. That's the thing. They are not going to believe that what you're telling them is going to make money until you have figured out how to make money. Right? A little bit of money that you have. Just like you said, it's all about sales, but the way you prove the sale is, sell it to a customer, right? Once you get the money going, money attracts money. You have 10 euro, it's easy to get 100 euro. With customers, my first goal is always to get $1, €1 transferred from their pocket to mine. Once I do that, and they get in the habit, they know how to go like this, I know it's a lot easier to get them to continue to go like that, right? So it's just that one thing.
I think if you're having a problem finding investors, it's because probably you don't have, you are not showing them with enough clarity the product, the customer base, how you can get to market. Maybe you don't show a strong enough plan. Yeah. Because if you have that, it shouldn't be a problem.
Can I just clarify the message in one line? So don't chase investors, chase customers.
Totally, yes. Yeah. If you have traction, investors will come.
Yeah, Guido, this morning you told me that it is not, do not spend time in office. I would like to ask you, where is your office in the Valley? If you told me that we don't have to spend time in office.
I think you're mixing to the
yeah,
things
But you raise money, so you can not buy, but rent an office.
Okay,
office
so
for attractive.
well, one day the office will come. So there's no office today, and in the Valley, and we got 3 desks in Torino at the moment. And in the Valley, my first place was, I'm sorry to say it's like super trivial, but it was a garage. And there's a lot of people, as you know, as you read on magazines, that started in garages. And that was with the other company. We turned a garage of a friend into a warehouse, and we were actually fulfilling e-commerce orders from that garage with a few difficulties, of course. And office for a lot of people in Silicon Valley is a cafe. So you go in any cafe in San Francisco and in most cafes down Silicon Valley, and you just see Macs open on yeah, everybody's working, and you physically work from cafes, and it's absolutely normal. Real estate is like super expensive, so there's no no issue in working from cafe using their internet connection or your own, catering with your iPhone. And actually, I'm going back and I'm going to see from that garage. But
Okay, and Davide, where is your office and maybe the office of your colleagues? And
There is an office. Okay. I think office is like toxic. Personally, I would love to see the same approach as you just described. Usually it's a bit strange if you go to a bar and people are working, like what are they doing? Are you plotting something? I think that should be the normal way to do business. It's so much better. I mean, if you spend your life closed in an office, I mean, imagine you are a team of, I don't know, 3 developers, you're working on the same thing, you know each other, you only talk to each other, you don't talk to anyone else, you don't grow up. I really believe in the co-working space approach where you are forced to speak with external people, you're forced to share ideas. That's how you grow up. So I try to stay away from offices as much as I can. I spent 10 years of my life in an office. Me and my co-worker, I was completely...
I'm preparing the next question. So
Okay.
Sabina, what about co-working or offices?
Offices. We actually do have offices in Denmark, but it's quite new. We didn't start out having offices. We started out bordering facilities at another company. And that was actually a great time. I would actually love to go back to that. So I couldn't agree more with you because it was so nice to share ideas and to actually work with this. It was another robotic company and they had customers coming in and we could like share ideas and so on. That we grew very big, like I told you in the beginning, like in just half a year we grew to 20 people and now we're almost 40 people. So we couldn't, unfortunately, we couldn't even keep using the other company's facilities. So now we have our own. But it's I mean, it's a mistake if we're all there. I mean, we're really trying to be as much as possible in the field instead of being in the office. So it's not an entity where you just go.
You have more than one office.
Yes, we have at the moment 2 offices, but in our case, we need to have an office because we, have to work on physical products and we need to do a lot of quality assurance on the product, and we were extremely lucky because we clinically validated this product just in a hospital around the corner in Pontedera, where we were going every single day, and nurses and physicians at some point, they couldn't, stand us anymore because we were going there every single day to patients, nurses, physicians, clinicians, the CEO of the hospital, and trying to see if they liked it or they didn't. But we need to have an office because we have different departments. We have people working on the hardware side, software side, customer service, technical support, marketing, and business development. So we have to be all together, and I believe on the open office philosophy because it's really important that people with different backgrounds and skill sets, they work together on a common goal, because sometimes small problems in communicating with each other can create big issues. So it's always important to keep all the people working in the company together and to make sure that that communication flow always counts. Because people don't feel like us who are salespeople. Let me give you an example. Now I'm based in Dublin, so twice a week I go and I visit Irish hospitals. They are completely different from Italian hospitals, completely in terms of dynamics, in terms of cultural barriers, in terms of psychological way of dealing with different decision makers. And once you are there and you spend a lot of time with all the different stakeholders, you acquire certain kind of information that can be really useful for our R&D team and product team to create a product that then can be a success story in that market. If you don't do that and you don't share that in the office, I don't know if you can then sell your products if only based on market research from McKinsey or I don't know, I'm not in that field. So I prefer to have these kinds of approach. So you are the soldier on the field, you go there, you get all the intelligence, you go back to the office, you share it with all the guys working in different departments, and you try to create something that is going to be sold into the market and well accepted by all the different people and stakeholders that need that kind of product.
All of them use the word that I think they believe is fundamental. What is the word all of them use?
That's the professor asking a question. Answer the question.
Yeah, all of them said sharing ideas and so on. So my question, coming right back to Sabina, is sharing versus protecting. Can you say something on that?
Oh, I can say a lot about it.
Yeah, maybe 5
But
minutes.
to cut it short, sharing is really the only way moving forward here. When you have it's the only way to actually, first of all, understand your customers, and we just agreed that customers should be main focus always, always, and always. Like really, if you want to sell a product, you need to share. I mean, you need to be able to get the feedback from obviously potential customers, but from friends and family and from whatnot, because they might wind up being potential customers as well someday. And you cannot get that really valuable feedback if you don't share. That was to put it very short. It's really important to share. Not sure you.
I couldn't agree more. We used to do that all the time. Like we prepared a pitch, and we used to do the pitch to everyone. But by everyone, I mean everyone, including the taxi driver, the security officer at the airport. I did that. The guy was what I told him. Like I remember he asked, "What's your business like?" And I gave the pitch, and I got feedback. You need to get feedback from everyone. Don't be afraid of the stereotype that wants to.
You didn't pass immigration though.
You passed really. Anyway, yeah, you need to. I mean, the idea that they're gonna share steal your ideas, just do it because you're the only one who can actually implement.
The same you said before.
Identically. Absolutely. So I'd like to make one point here. We keep talking about customers, okay? Maybe we should talk about simply users, okay? Because you think, or maybe we think, a common sense thinks that customers simply pays. That's, I mean, step number 2. Step number 1 is having somebody who uses, or well, even step before is somebody who uses your solution, whatever it is, hardware, software. And step before that is somebody who understands. And well, even before that is like somebody who shares, and then somebody who understands. Okay, so if you want to have somebody who understands, you need to explain what you're doing, and you need to get better at explaining. The more you explain, the better you get at explaining, of course, right?
But you understand what you're doing.
Yeah, and you understand too, and you get the problems back from your potential users, or maybe you basically understand that that's not a potential user, right? And if this person doesn't understand, a lot of people, in my experience, a lot of people in the technical field thinks, well, this person is stupid. She doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. It's her problem. No, it's not her problem. It's your problem. Your problem is that either you're not good enough at explaining, or there's a fault in what you're thinking and what you think you want to do. So the more you speak about what you want to do, the better you become at explaining, the better ideas you get back, and therefore you want to really share your idea with everyone, all the time, day and night, with your mom, with your dad, with your brother, with your dog, with your cat. Just do it. Nobody's going to steal it. Even if they steal it, it means that you were not the right person to do it, because it's really unlikely. You're going to be the best in the world to run your idea. It's your idea. You've been thinking about it for a long time. You're going to be the best in the world. You are.
Good pitch.
We have a question?
Yeah, great.
Something about sharing. If I have an idea and it's a good idea, and it's really a good idea. I have to present it on to investors, to customers, as I said, but it could be dangerous also. So how much is the intellectual property important? Is it the first thing to do? Do I have to do it before talking about my idea, my project, or not?
Can I say something in the middle? I mean, you are referring probably to a device, like this device here, and the question is, for Emmanuele, did you patent it?
Yes, that's patent. But there are two. So there are two levels. You don't file the patent and you wait for the European Patent Office to grant your patent before working on all the rest, which is 90% or 95% of the work, okay? You think, of course, in terms of creating more value for your company by filing patents, which is one of the many things you have to work on, but it shouldn't be something that is gonna stop you from doing whatever you want to do, okay? So it should be one of the activities you need to have in your, let's say, 5 years strategic plan, but shouldn't be something that if you don't have it, you don't start it. Of course, it's great to have it, but it shouldn't be something that is gonna stop you from starting your own business. What's your concern?
No, how can I be sure that someone, when I'm talking about my idea, can be helpful or steal my idea?
But the problem is that they're gonna steal your idea.
Let me rephrase this question. I want to rephrase it so you can answer. So there's a difference between describing the what and the how. So maybe all of you can talk about the why you do what you do, right? Compel what motivated you, and how you overcame this sort of describing what it is, and not saying how. So how is the least? Until somebody, I think that might, there's a confusion around idea, because you're in the research community, it's always about how, right? In business, it's not the how, it's why are you doing this? What is it? Or like Guido said, what is it and how does it make money? Right? So how does it make money? Can it make money first, and then tell me what is it? We're talking about the why and the what versus how is that different from the how. And that might address this question.
Someone want to answer, or I can try to say something on that. All of them said that you have to be fast, so you have to file fast, and after filing, start describing your product. Even if the patent is the not best patent you can file, but you have just to have a piece of paper with a stamp on it, the date. I mean, you can change something in future. But the day after, you have to go on the market and see if someone is interested. Otherwise, you are wasting time waiting for a response that can arrive 1 year after with some issues. So, what doing that? Answering the issue and waiting other 6 months? Yeah, it doesn't have any sense. You have to move quickly. That's my point.
Yeah. In general, I've been told by investors, for example, that they will not sign an NDA. This is something people think like, I'm going to go there, I'm going to sign an NDA, maybe an agreement, so I can tell an idea. Still, usually they don't do that. They don't sign NDAs for 2 reasons. One, they hear hundreds of ideas all the time, so they should pass all their lives checking the NDA for stuff. Another problem is that you think your idea is new, maybe it isn't. Maybe they're already working with somebody with the same idea. So what happens then? I'm not too concerned about intellectual property. If something can be protected, you should protect it. Yes, but don't be. Yeah, obviously don't write it on internet because in that case it's not there forever. But don't be too shy. And the difference is between the what and the how always. Like the patent is not, we think the patent is about the idea itself. It's actually more about how to implement something, how it is actually performed. That's the interesting part of the book. So that's what you should keep secret.
I agree. How to bring basically the idea from the lab to the market. That's the point.
But there's something there's something I don't understand. I'm not sure I understand. You said your question was if somebody has an idea, comma, a good idea. What do you do? So my question is, how do you know it's a good idea?
If you haven't chosen.
I don't know if it's a good idea, but if it is,
But it's your idea, so
Share it. I'm gonna tell you.
Come on, do the page for
I'm gonna give you my 2 cents, right? So you're blocked. What are your alternatives?
no, go on.
Pick like 3 people around you and share it. And they're gonna tell you it's a good idea, it's bullshit, I didn't understand it, explain me better, and you start. And then pick those 3 people decently with some grain of salt and start sharing. And they're gonna give you some hints, some advice, and you start from there. And then you decide where to stop.
We don't have to be afraid of sharing network.
Well, you know, we met this morning, and we talked about business and life, right? And one of the things I said is I feel there's a big difference between here, Italy, where I was born and lived for many years, and Silicon Valley, where I live now, right? And the difference is that in Italy, when you have 4 business people meeting around the table, around the coffee or a pizza, and they talk business. Take the pizza away from there, please. I need to do something else. So when they talk about business, in Italy there is this feeling that there is a pie there, and the pie is given. And if you talk to me, with that yellow sweater, if you talk to me, it means that you want my share of that pie. And therefore, I'm not going to talk to you. And beware, because if you put your hands out, I got my fork, and I'm going to stab you. Okay? Same scenario as Silicon Valley, and probably New York too, right? 4 business people, 4 engineers, 4 inventors, 1 software team, 1 hardware person, a satellite person. They meet and they talk and talk and talk and talk, and they get this like fantastic feeling of this pie growing. And the more we talk, the more business we do. And we meet 1 second, and then he shows me stuff, and I show him stuff, and we talk all the time, and we're gonna talk probably for years and years and years. And the pie is growing, okay? So we should, in Italy and in Europe in general, because this is true, I mean, Europe is an old continent where growing is really difficult. And of course the US, and I'm not expert, I don't know about Asia, but I suspect that it might be the same. Where the economy is growing, of course, it's easier to think it's going to grow, it's going to go better, we're going to build stuff together, I can talk to you, you can talk to me, we're going to increase, okay? So it's understandable that this is the situation, but by talking, the more you talk, the better you become, and the better people around you become, and the better your idea becomes. Just go ahead.
I completely agree, but
There is another trick I used in the past. Prepare the patent and go to the customer or investors. You have the patent ready. You discuss with them, and you told them, I filed the patent. It is not really not true. It is quite right. And but during that meeting, you have to show something, describe the patent, and listen. You can improve the patent by something like 50%, yeah. And I did. But the day after, the patent was submitted. And you can imagine the value you can create during that meeting. It is something not correct, but yes, I mean, it was something that...
What's wrong with it?
Pardon?
What's wrong with it?
Oh, it was okay. And I mean, they are interested in the patent because they supply value to the patent. The patent looks like what they are thinking now, more than what they think before. So it is okay. And you can act in this way also. That was my... other questions? I think your questions are more interesting than mine. I can continue. Okay, that was the nice part of the, I mean, yeah, nice part of they are growing, how stuff are made. But I would like to ask them also to have advice and maybe some stories about errors you did in the past, or mistakes or problem you found in the past, and how you solved in order to have advice and maybe call you back for having an advice for overcoming a particular problem. So what is, can you tell something, Sabina?
Well,
That was start.
that was a start, yeah. So I think first, I have 3 points. First of all, the cultural mindset. Now we were just talking a bit about European mindset compared to American one. That's a place to start. Always share. I think we nailed that one down. But also the founders from Blue Ocean Robotics, they are all from the public or the academic sphere. And it has been somewhat of a challenge maybe to actually start a business group when you come very much with that mindset, always just searching for public funding and so on. That was challenging. So it has been the first challenge is really to balance again how you go about it, and always think sales and how you're going to scale this and so on, and have that really as a clear target always, because then you can better navigate, I think, in all the different opportunities that we have, especially in Europe. That was number one. Then number two is really when hiring people. Like we grew fairly fast to begin with, and also now, and it's been really challenging actually hiring the right kind of people. Like the search for talent and really being among talent. That's another good reason to be in Silicon Valley, because you have a whole another set of talent pool that we have at least many places in Europe. But that is really challenging, actually picking the right kind of employees. That just like the first employees, not just the first employees, but let's say the first 5, next 10, and so on. That's really something that is worthwhile thinking a lot more about than just I need this job to be done, and then we just recruit whoever who can try to help us out. That doesn't really work. And then the third one is really, if I could give an advice again to the founders, would really be not to be too arrogant. I think to take advice and to always like you take mentoring advice and so on, like to really keep on asking, okay, how do you think I could improve business? Not just how do I sell this product and so on, but what can be done to improve business? Always be open to that, wherever the input may come from. That was 3 things I think that made a difference if we knew that from the beginning.
I'll give 3 too. Okay, I'll give 3 too. So one is ownership and agreements. The second is team, and the third one is money. Okay. So the first one, ownership and agreements. Try to put things in writing. You start with your friend, and or even not with your friend, but like making the initial agreements and putting things in writing is something difficult, something that drives energy out of like the real focus of your business. Takes time away, takes anger and bad gut feeling. But the sooner you do it, the better. Be clear and put it in writing. Who owns what? Who's in the board of directors? How is the board of directors elected? How it is fired? How long it lasts? And who gets shares in what cases? All these type of regulations. I strongly advise you to do it sooner rather than later. It takes energy away. At some point, not too far away in the future, as early as you can just do it. Ownership and agreements. Second, team. At some point, it's true you will hire, but at some point you will have to fire. And my experience is that when you feel that you need to fire somebody, just fire her or him. Just do it. Okay. Don't wait. It's not part. I mean, that person is not a good part of the team. When you get this feeling that you really think there's no match or the person is ruining the team, you've got a responsibility towards that person for sure because you hired her, but you've got like a bigger responsibility toward the whole team. The team has to work, and the objective of the company must be the objective of the team, and that's the most important thing you have after your clients, of course. So just fire fast. And the third one is money. You leave out of money. Your company leaves out of money, right? We talked enough about investors. At some point, hopefully, you will get some clients. And especially in Italy and in Southern Europe, well, in Europe in general, pay attention. Don't make confusion between issuing an invoice and receiving a payment. These are two very different things. Okay, you should design your business model so that you will get some cash in your bank, not some invoices out. There are like whole sectors in Italy that don't pay. In general, in Italy, it's like the standard practice is like you receive an invoice and you trash it. The invoice is writes payable in like 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. Technically, it says within 90 days. Practically, it's pulled out after 95 and trashed again. They wait for a phone call. They don't reply. They don't pay. They don't reply to your emails, and you get the payment after 1 year. In that time, you're dead. Okay, so design your cash flow so that it allows you to survive without the payment of that invoice. Period.
So true. For you, I would like to ask Emmanuele if you can comment about the ownership structure and what you say, rules, roles, and responsibility.
So, when you start something, you need to differentiate between basically three levels. So, the three levels are the shareholders group, where you can include founders, then the board of directors, and then the management team, just to keep the rule of three, in line with the recommendations. And on these three levels, you need to make sure to define roles, responsibilities, and rules. And as Guido was suggesting, to put them in writing. Now, you don't need at the beginning a proper contract. You even need, just to put it in writing, where you basically establish that when it comes to founders and shareholders group, you have few rules regarding corporate governance, structuring different processes. When it comes to the board of directors, you have the same. You have the roles, responsibilities, and a few rules governing the board of directors. And then when you have the management team, of course, you need to have roles and responsibilities that sometimes are more in the form of the job profile of the people working for that company. And one bit of advice I may give is, when you sit down with the other founders or the other people who are gonna start working with you, think in advance why you're doing it and what you're gonna do with the startup or company you're creating. It's gonna be the company that you're gonna grow and work for the rest of your life. It's gonna be a company that you're gonna sell after 5-7 years. It's gonna be a company that you would like to bring to an IPO. It's gonna be a company that you're gonna grow like an SME. And then remember, a really important quote from Machiavelli: in business and politics, there are no friends.
Yeah. This morning,
So we need to avoid that kind of reaction.
but this morning you told us also that sometimes an error you saw during mentoring, because you are also mentoring a startup, is that people usually overestimate commitment of other people, and overestimate also expectations.
Yes, it's something that you're absolutely right. You know, when you sit down with the other founders and the other people you would like to start working on a project with, it's really important that you set reasonable and clear expectations. Of course, you need to have a certain level of flexibility as well. But it's really important that at least you determine, and if you think, let's say, to launch a product, and with the guys, you need to make sure if they commit to be the the head of product development, they're going to stay in the company for at least a couple of years, and they're going to commit that, you know, in a couple of years you're going to have a clinically or CE-marked device, for instance. Or if you're working in a company where you are writing a piece of software and you are committing to have, let's say, from my point of view, the first customer after 1 year, and your CTO is going to commit, okay, I'm going to have a first release in 1 year, then it's going to be 1 year. Then it's not going to be 1 year, it's going to be 15 months, it's going to be, let's say, 16 months is still acceptable. It's really important that when you commit to at least set specific expectations. But, you know, we make mistakes, so...
Can you comment, we make mistakes?
Make mistakes all the time. I mean, so you make mistakes all the time, right? We make mistakes all the time. So entrepreneurship is about making mistakes and trying to understand them, at least realizing. Sometimes, some of them you just realize, oh, I made a mistake. Most of them you don't even know it. You just did it, and you just, you know, just lost that client, or you lost that negotiation, or you just produced the wrong product. I mean, there's different scales of mistakes, but you're gonna do so many of them, and you're gonna learn from them. Yes, hopefully we do too. So that's all.
The question for you is twofold. I mean, in general, it's the same, error and mistakes, but also I would like to ask you about issues between being a company, between university and the real world.
Okay.
The university doesn't belong to you?
No.
Sorry. It's
okay.
my role to entertain the audience.
The biggest mistake I've made so far isn't my current company. It's with my previous company, the Italian one. Before I actually knew any better, I studied at a consultancy company in Italy the last 14 years, as I said before. And my biggest fault was not to grow. So we just survived. This is something that is unacceptable. So while it's totally okay to fail, like you should, you know, dream big and fail bigger. It's okay. It's okay. You keep going. But if you don't dream that big and you don't do anything particularly good or bad, you just survive, that's very bad. This is something you don't want to go into. Yeah, I survived 10 years. That would be crazy. What do you mean survived 10 years? Like it was okay to not hire anyone. That's very wrong. That's my biggest mistake so far. And I've learned the lesson. And sadly, because I had no culture, I didn't know it was wrong. I could perceive that something wasn't right. You know, time was passing, nothing was really happening. But now I really know, I really understand how bad it is. You need to create value. Not just growing as in making a lot of money. It's creating value, creating products, hiring people, having new ideas, you know. And let's be honest, that's the fun of doing business, right? I mean, you create things. So you feel that you are creating value for the society. That's the question was, sorry?
Issues.
Where are we?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that being in both worlds is the best thing that could happen to me. Like, maybe it's because it's Italy and it's not that easy to do business in Italy, so it's very easy for me to find smart people using the contacts we have in America and London, where it's very easy to do business instead. And there, in that world, it's very hard to find people. So, yeah, you know, there are two very different things. Here, there's no way to to do business, but it's very easy to find talent. And in England and the USA, it's the way around. So I'm in the perfect spot. I think the spin-off in Italy is the sweet spot in this moment. I don't see any. Yeah, the problem is that it's Italy, so everything is hard. It's even hard to understand how much tax you're supposed to pay. Nobody knows. You just pay, hope that you did everything right, but you don't really know. That's a real problem, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's one problem. Yeah, I'd like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to spend just maybe 1 minute commenting on this thing about it's hard to do business in Italy. Okay, you have an idea? How many of you are Italian, or all of you? Any non-Italian? Yeah. Where are you from?
Spain.
Spain. Okay.
I think it's very similar.
So another
Italian here? It's not Italian.
non-Italian?
Italian's there.
Okay, this is
No,
Pakistan.
the better.
It's not interesting. It's a research.
You're a researcher. Okay, so you're outranked. Okay, in Spain it's the same. So why do we say it's hard? It's hard for basically like one is like complication in general, like not knowing what's going on and the taxes. That's bureaucracy. Okay, but we know about bureaucracy. There are other two things which could be avoided. One is that the market is super small. Whatever you do, if you think that your market is Italy, you're wrong. You're wrong. Forget it. Okay. If you focus on Italy, if you have something that sells in Italy, you will be small with your mind. And it's small, and it's small in terms of like the sheer amount of people, the sheer like surface of the geographical surface, and it's also small because people don't consume. In Italy, it's a tendency we don't buy. If you go out in the United States, and people just like are a lot more and buy a lot more and consume a lot more and try a lot more and change more things. Okay, that's bad for the environment, but it's good for your business, depending what business you are. But and they tried, okay, and this thing that they tried, they are sort of like risk lovers or risk prone also while consuming. Comes up like pulls up the second problem of Italy, and the second problem of Italy is that we do not have an entrepreneurial culture. We didn't have an entrepreneurial culture for the past 2 generations. Okay, we have like a handful of entrepreneurs. We read in the newspapers always the same entrepreneurs. Okay, we got Renzo Rosso, we got 5 famous entrepreneurs, but the culture is basically against it. So if you try to do it, you will have like everybody looking at you, telling you, trying to explain to you that you are wrong. You shouldn't do that. You cannot succeed. It's impossible. You will not do it. And this is
and
like,
if you succeed, then you must be evil.
Then you're evil. Okay. But all this thing of being against you like drags energy away from you. So that's another reason why it's hard in Italy. And I think you can change the second one. Culture changes. And culture changes through lessons, through meetings, through sharing, through doing. Just do it. Go out there, build it, right? You don't want to share your idea. Implement it. Implement it. Right? No, I'm sorry. I'm just taking all this time because I like to swear. And just go out there and do it. And change this and go abroad. Do it abroad. Sell abroad. Go in Spain and sell in Spain. Go in Denmark and sell in Denmark. Come over to us and take blood.
Okay, you told that there are some energy vampires this morning, and you are saying almost the same now.
That's my idea. That's my feeling. You got energy vampires. That's what is rare. What is important for entrepreneurs is not money. It's not investors. It's not knowledge. It's your own energy. Okay, energy. And because you're fighting, you come out every morning. You go out there and you fight. You fight against competition. You negotiate, which is a sort of fighting with your prospective clients. You need to build your team. You're fighting against unknown. You need a lot of energy for that. You don't need to be particularly smart or like prepared. Or you don't need to be a scientist necessarily. You need a lot of energy. And so whatever drags energy away from you, that's your enemy. And in Italy, all this thing, we said this morning, right? If I had to pay, in Italy we pay like maybe 60–70% of taxes, or 80% or 100% of taxes because we got Arab, right? Nobody knows how it works, but we end up paying 105% of profits in taxes. If we had to pay 50, but if we knew that it's just at the end of the year you pay 50, that's it. I mean, that's only money. But if you to get to that 53.75 like you need to take a lot of effort, a lot of time, 3 consultants, a lot of uncertainty. You get at the end the feeling of doing it wrong. That's energy. And so my suggestion is try to hold your energy and spend it in the right direction.
I agree. I remember in Italy, accounting for something like 50% of my time trying to understand what I was supposed to do. And once when I was, sure, okay, I'm doing everything right. Friday, I feel good, great. I received a call from National Insurance saying, we just found out that you're supposed to pay twice. What? Why should I pay twice? Because you have both
owner and administrator.
Yes, so you need to pay twice. What are you talking about? It didn't happen. So it took like 1 year of fight with them to have them say, you were wrong, sorry.
You lost it, right?
No, actually, I won. It was very strange. But I mean, I spent a year trying to. That would kill us because when you are wrong, you need to pay for 5 years in the past. So I would have to pay everything I earned so fast. Anyway, I think what the real problem in Italy is the lack of assuming responsibility. In Italy, nobody wants to assume responsibility for what they say, so they just give you the worst possible scenario, and so it's your problem. Nobody says, it's going to be like this, trust me, and I assume full responsibility for this, at all levels. So everything is everywhere at all levels in Italy is like this. So everything is regulated, over-regulated.
Yeah, but you can change.
Yeah.
You are the guys.
Yeah, just before I try to conclude, I would like to ask you, because this concept of energy vampire is very interesting. And so I'm asking you why you are mentoring other companies. You have a lot to do in your company. So how can you deal with these people that are asking your energy too for having your support?
I think to go back to the why philosophy introduced by Professor Matt today is it's really important to share your experience, your expertise, and your advice with someone who's gonna be in the same situation where you were 5 years before that person, or then 10 years before that person, then 25 years. Because by doing this, you create a sort of way to go against all the hassles and issues we are talking about. Because I agree with Guido and Davide when they're saying Italy is not really business friendly. However, you need to live with that. And if you find solutions to problems that are common, you can share these solutions with young guys. They might have a better starting point. And the other thing is by sharing your experience, by providing them with your advice, you get new ideas as well, and you have the possibility to contribute to this pie, which is at the end of the day society. And you are trying to make a better society for these guys, for new generations, and for your kids as well. And then I have something that I always used with my guys, because when I arrived in Italy and I hired engineers and they didn't even know, what a programming language was or a piece of hardware was. And when I was talking to the guys and we had a meeting, they were spending 10 minutes describing me problems, right? Then at a certain point, I came up with this idea and I told them, okay, guys, from now on, you have 5 minutes describing me what you want to talk about. 30 seconds, you're going to focus on the problem, and the remaining 4 minutes and 30 seconds are going to focus on a solution. So there are small things you can introduce to change the mindset and to make your company, your startup, the environment you're living in, and the society a better place. So it's more sort of missionary. Let me give you another example. When I was here in 2011, I met Ray, right? So I was like, okay, this person has 30 years of experience, he knows a lot, and he's a great mentor. And I just sent him an email and I asked him, can you become my mentor? And he said yes. And I started sending him emails, twice a day for a month, and he's basically providing me with his advice, and I'm doing the same with the other guys. By doing it, to me, you really walk your talk and you say, okay, I want to make a difference in my really small place in the world, and if I want to do this, I need to contribute. And my way to contribute is this.
Great.
I know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So since I'm not Italian, I won't complain about the U.S., which would be a very Italian thing, so I'm not going to do that. But I'll do a very American thing, which is I'll defend Italy. Okay? You really make the point. Okay? So Italy is an export economy. 400 billion euro a year, Italy exports. It's a G8 country. As Guido pointed out, small country, small population. Okay? 34% of its exports is in mechanics and electronics. Okay? Food and fashion and design is actually a very small fraction. If you ask most Italians, they say food and fashion and design. It's completely wrong. It's actually science, right? Science and technology. Okay? A lot of Italians don't know that the largest export is actually to Germany. Well, guess what the Germans do? They take the Italian components, they stick to the German products, and they sell it back to the Italians. Okay? If you open up the bindi, and you look inside the bindi, it's all Italian components. I'm not joking. Okay? So the other export is to the U.S. So 20% of Italian exports is between Germany and the U.S. The U.S. is actually less than Germany. Okay? U.S. is a huge market. Okay? But the really big export that Italy does, which is phenomenal and everyone benefits, is the people. All right? So 60 million Italians live outside of Italy. Let's not talk about first generation, second generation. You go to someone, I have cousins, they're half Italian. If you ask them, are you Puerto Rican or Italian? They say, no, I'm Italian. Okay? They've been to Italy, they're very proud Italians. I ate Italian food, they're my aunt, whatever, they're very proud Italians. Okay? So, tremendous export, but it's the people, right? I meet young people here and I advise them, okay? I would say half of them are thinking about leaving Italy as a human export, right? So now the next point is that Italians that leave Italy do extremely well. Guido probably knows a lot of Italians. The Valley, if you come to New York, there's 50,000 Italians that live in New York that were born in Italy. And that community is tremendous. There's 700,000 people in New York City that identify themselves as Italian, right? There's a newspaper in Italian called American OG that sells an Italian language newspaper in New York City that is bought by 60,000 Italians every day. Okay? The mayor of New York, when he got elected, the first place he went to is Italy, where he's from. The governor of New York is Italian. I can go on facts and facts and facts and facts. Right? So you can complain about Italy, but Italy is a tremendous economy, a tremendous country. The challenge is that the Italians have to compete on the global stage. As Guido pointed out, if you're only competing with other Italians, you're really disadvantaging yourself because you got a lot of competition, right? If you go out and compete on the global stage, you have a huge advantage because you're Italian. We're educated here, so you go anywhere in the world. And competition is very easy. Of course, it's easier to do business in the U.S. But you try to do business in Italy, you go to the US, it's like nothing. It's easy, right? Because you were trained in the hardest competitive climate in the world. So it's a huge advantage being born and trained, trying to do business here. But the main thing, as Guido pointed out, and all of them know, right, that if you try to sell in Italy, it's a lot harder than selling outside. And I can go, I just gave you the fact, which is Italy's an export economy. So if you start a business in Italy and you're not selling outside of Italy, you're disadvantaging yourself. You're creating an impossible situation. Is that very American?
I totally share.
I'm nationalistic and I'm ready to vote in the Italian election.
You should go up your say the people, the Italian people in Argentina, maybe that was another thing.
Yes.
Sorry.
This morning you said that you are acting locally or playing globally. Can you say something more to describe what is behind this concept?
Basically, like we already talked about, it's really, really important to be out there and to understand your users and your customers' needs and the different ways that the markets they work. Say healthcare, for instance. It's really, really different if you're in Denmark or if you're in UK or if you're in Italy or so on. It works completely different ways. So you cannot really be there and meet your users' needs, end users' needs, if you do not have people who know the local ecosystem, the local entrepreneurial ecosystem on the field. So this is why our strategy is really to either have resellers in other markets or to actually do sister companies where we partner up with people, for instance, in Italy, or now we do it in Lithuania, in China, in Dubai, we're starting up in the States as well. And it's really to partner up with people that know who are deal makers of the specific ecosystem that we want to target. This is really the way to go about it, because it's too challenging for us sitting in a country, in the Scandinavian country, just having a report from McKinsey consultants, for instance, about this is how you should do business in China or the like. I mean, you need to be there in order to understand what the users' needs are to adapt the solutions that you want.
Guys, do you have any question? No? Sure? Do you want to make a break? 5 minutes break. You can come here and ask. I take note of all the questions and I ask again later. Okay. 5 minutes break.
Bianchi, gioca un caffè? No. Naturalmente Claudio e Max sono qui. Claudio e Max, Bianchi che gioca un caffè? No, dai.
would like you think one question for Emmanuele, one for Davide, one for Guido, one for Sabina. So, who would like to start? Questions? No question? You can go. For sure, you have questions. You were talking with Guido before, so I saw someone of you. Maybe asking questions.
I would like to know something more about your experience at the very beginning. You know, when they moved from the idea or prototype or the very first few customers to the formation of the stuff and then what are you? Is your experience?
So at the very beginning, I experienced basically the suggestion I give and the experiences, as we said earlier, since you most of the times don't know who is going to buy. If you think the person who you think is going to buy your product will really buy your product, you don't really know who is going to be your client. You don't really know how much they're gonna pay, how they're gonna pay, etc. The suggestion is just be ready to give all the time, right? And recruiting is again a little bit of a abused term in everywhere, in the United States especially. It's basically a change. So change your mind, and change your mind typically in terms of go-to-market strategy or go-to-market tactic, or even change your mind in terms of product. Change your product, change the functions, typically reduce the functions, or maybe change them, and just be ready to change a lot of times. And try to listen to the market and try to listen to your users and try to understand. It's very generic, sorry.
But for me, it's the same. You need to, as I said before, you need to try things in a while, not just think about things. Don't just think about your product, actually implement the product. Try it. See how if people use it, what they like and what they don't, and I think be ready to change it. Change your product. Don't fall in love with your product. Always be ready to, okay, I love this, but I'm gonna destroy it. It's okay. You want to keep creating.
No, maybe my question was a little bit different. I mean, I was curious to hear your experience when you, I mean, the difficulties maybe, if you want to share, when you had an idea and you start talking and, I mean, before creating the stuff, if you have some...
It's again, it's the same answer actually. If you have an idea, if you can implement it, if you can make a prototype, then just make a prototype, show it to everyone, get feedback. And it happens more often than you think that you just talk to random people. It turns out to be the perfect partner for first client. Really, think that the more you move, the more things happen. So just do things instead of thinking about things. Do something and something happens.
So if we can relate that question to our own experience, which is slightly different from, creating a, let's say, app or online platform software solution. Before starting working on the research and development phase, you really need to go to the potential users and customers who's going to use it, who's going to pay for it, and get as much requirement as you can, because you don't have the kind of expertise, you don't have the kind of experience. And you really build up your experience to start the first phase where you're going to produce something that, as you were saying, you have then to possibly slightly change in our case, because if you let go for a certain kind of product, you can't then change 80% of it. So it's more a matter of interacting with your potential end users and customers, so whoever's going to pay for your solution, and then iterate, make mistakes, learn from your mistakes, and keep trying. There's a lot of frustration in between, and so.
Questions?
How to find customer without inform them about product and services of my project? I must promote them, no? I must find investors. How to inform customers the existence of product and services of my project without invest. How to inform without inform. How to inform without invest money in promotion.
So you should circulate without spending, you mean, without for free. How to communicate for free? This is the question. Did I get it right?
So let me try to rephrase it. So you are saying, how do you engage with potential users and customers, right? How you do that is the question.
No, excuse me. Can you?
So is the question how we engage with end users and customers without investors? Is that the question you were trying to?
First part, please.
How we engage with end users and customers. Is it your question? Okay. So I was saying, so I'm based in Ireland at the moment, and I'm trying to sell my products there. Okay. So what I'm doing is I don't read any records. I don't read any market analysis. I don't read specialized magazines and all of that. I just did my small market research and understanding where all the major hospitals are, how many clinicians that can fit the same profile of clinicians who are adopting our product really are. And what I do is I take the bus, go to the hospital, I make an appointment with the PA of the clinician, I go to the appointment, and then we have a meeting, and I basically inform these potential end user and customer about my technology and about my product. I do that twice a week. I keep on trying and meeting them, following up with them. As long as then at a certain point I realize that these are the right people I can sell my product to, or they are not. And it's a learning process. And that's the way I engage with them. So this is practical experience. So I'm talking about something that I do in real life without huge investment, because all the money I need is money for the bus tickets and money to buy a couple of copies. Okay, and that's the way I do that in that country. And it's really, this one is really, really practical. You don't learn it on a book, and you just do it. So what's your business? But let me ask you one question. What's your what are you trying to do?
My project is called Every Single Monday, and it's a project is on the internet. So on the marketplace, internet marketplace only. Okay. So I have to inform my clients with advertised on internet. Okay, and I support small medium enterprise Italian with because I'm a business consultant in order to increase turnover of small medium Italian enterprise. And so we are doing we are thinking about some product and services for and for a specific target. Okay, anyone that identify in a brand, ABC Diamante is trademark, and I'm the owner. And another target is oversized people, and another target is cat lover, passionate about cats. So I sell my product and services in a partnership with two Italian artisans. Yeah. But so with upholstery of woodworker, okay? Italian handmade, and we are planning new products for that type of people, because I'm starting.
You want to sell them online?
Yes, only online.
Okay.
Because I would support, the aim of this project is to support maybe your enterprise, Italian enterprise, different types, on the internet market. Okay?
But to start a viral, for example, advertising on, try to create some viral loop, using social media, just paying Google Ads, for example, and down to a few euros every month to get on top of the searches. You need to study how to be the first page of queries. This is just how things work on the internet. You don't need €1 million to promote your product. Social networks, CEO, usual stuff. I mean, it depends on how many users you want, but you cannot get 100 users a month just like that. You need to scale up. So just show that you can get some users with resources. Use the money you get from the service to grow and keep growing. If you show that you're good enough, eventually you can ask money to investors, but you need to be able to show that you can scale. If you're a consulting company, you will never get investors. You can't scale up. A consultancy company is made of the work of the people who work there. And if 3 of you, 6 of you, 60 of you, is still very limited. You can't scale up. You cannot make $1 billion. You cannot make. You can become rich, very rich, but you cannot scale up. So you shouldn't look for investors if you are a consultancy company. You need to be able to sustain yourself. An investor will only invest in something that can scale up. They invest €1 million and they get back a trillion. That's what it is.
Actually, Guido did that without investors with the grant to his company. He did that without investors.
Yeah, the other, I know I'm not polite, but you have to work on the pitch. You have to put in half a minute. They have to understand that they have to buy. Otherwise, yeah.
Even less than this. Like, you know where the term elevator pitch comes from? You know why it's called elevator pitch? No? Do you know why it's called elevator pitch? No? It's called elevator pitch because they used to do the pitch during an elevator shot. You wait the big boss at the bottom of a skyscraper, and you go into the elevator with him, and in the time it takes to go from floor 0 to floor, you need to be able to convince him. So it takes a minute. You need to be able to, in a minute, tell the idea, tell why you're good at it. Yeah, like 30 seconds.
It's really 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's the perfect elevator pitch. No slides, nothing. You just go and convince. That's the perfect elevator pitch. Anyway.
Yeah, the other question is your business related to a service based on people So no one investors is interested in because of scalability. So it could be a good business. Maybe doing consultancy for some very rich guy that is 70 years old, and you can stay there and having money, spending money. It's okay, but it is not something that an investor is interested in.
You can become extremely rich. I mean, consultancy job is perfectly fine, totally, but it's not for investors. It shouldn't be for investors. It's not going to be easy to find out. Because they are interested in, I invest 10 and I get out 10,000 out of it.
Other questions? No? Okay. You have?
Maybe. I just wanted to hear something more about the beginning of your experience abroad. I mean, as Italians, when you moved and you faced other realities, what changed? What gave you a different start? Something.
Well, I had a friend in London, so it was using internet was very natural. Like, we just started a company using Skype, so we had meetings every day using Skype. The company was run by him mainly, and I used to develop. Then we found out a founder in America, and then.
So you didn't actually move when you found it?
I haven't moved.
You haven't moved at all?
Here, all the team, development team, development team is here. So you don't need to move necessarily. You need to have, you know.
But you travel.
I travel a lot. It's okay. You need to love this life. It's not that hard. It doesn't need to be that hard.
For us, the reason why and the big difference we found when we moved to Ireland, that was 2007, right? We set up the Zerogrey was set up in 2000, and we created Zerogrey US in 2005 because we were already looking for some place outside of Italy to be able to grow faster. And we ended up in Dublin in 2007, so we set up Zerogrey Ireland in 2007. What were we looking for? Well, basically, we were looking for a place where the labor regulations were different. And why? You want to do that because, first of all, you want to be able to hire faster. And you can hire faster if you can fire faster. That's the rule. Because you're going to screw up your people, right? We said that. You're going to hire wrong people. And therefore, you need a place where you are... where it's formally easy to fire, but it's also ethically easy to fire. And Italy is not such a place because when you have unemployment at 20% and you have this social push towards like long-term contracts, it's not very easy at firing. And this is for you, for your own sake. And the other reason is that in such a place where it is easy to hire and easy to fire, which is for instance Ireland or the United States. Well, talk about Europe, Ireland, US companies come to Ireland, and therefore you go to Dublin, you find Google, you find PayPal, you find eBay, and Facebook, Cisco, name one.
Airbnb.
Oracle, Airbnb is now there. Cool. LinkedIn, Twitter. Okay, all the Silicon Valley companies working over the internet and in social have their European headquarters in Dublin. This means that you have several thousands or tens of thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people working in your space, which means that when you need to hire, you actually, I'm talking about 2005, 2006, you post an ad into the at the Polytechnic of Torino. I don't know about here, I was hiring there at that time, and you get maybe for a developer, and you get maybe one CD. You post the same ad in a bakery in Dublin, and you get 10. And that makes a huge difference. So when you're building a team, the labor market is like a humongous difference. That's what we found in Dublin.
They are young and well educated.
Yeah, you've got a lot of people, yeah. But it's, to give you a good news is that from my point of view, I don't know, from your point of view, is that it's changing in Italy too. And I've been hiring now in was it July? Yeah, in July. And in Milan and Torino, and there's a lot more niches. So somebody of you were asking me earlier, how do you find a web like a web expert or like a web developer? Now it's much easier. It's definitely much easier. There's a lot of people very good at web development, or in general software development. This wasn't the case 10 years ago.
I think it's time to go. I would like to ask you to make an applause to the guys and maybe you will meet in San Francisco. I cross my finger for you. Okay. Bye guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So,